Welcome to the 90MinuteCynic podcast. I'm your host, Chris Boud. Tonight I'm joined by Louis McCaffrey.
Hello, Boud.
And Bryan McManus.
Hello.
How are you doing?
No bad, how are you?
I'm alright.
We're good. Bit
Nice
more
and chilled,
positive
isn't it?
this week.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm liking this setup. Probably because Gallagher isn't here. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the 90MinuteCynic has a new home for listeners at home who have no idea what Brian's talking about. But we missed last week due to unforeseen circumstances, so we didn't really get to talk about the miserable situation in the cup. As you said, a lot better this weekend, but we won't linger too long. But we'll go back to that Aberdeen. What were our thoughts, boys?
Like we said before we started recording, probably could be here all night with us. Awful, absolutely awful. Lennon deserves so much flack for coming out and saying afterwards, he didn't know why the team were so flat. Whereas I think every Celtic fan knows they were so flat because he's playing the same players week in and week out without any sort of competition or any freshness, and they just can't raise their game. Aberdeen totally deserved it.
Louis?
Yeah, absolutely. They did. I was put off the game in the first instance because the club had closed the top tier, and I understand. Obviously, you had to pay extra to go to the game, and I think for season ticket holders it was 15 quid. 15 quid, and I personally just didn't have the 15 quid, but it kind of put me off with the whole top tier shutting, and it's like it right away it's capping the atmosphere. And I don't understand why they have to do that. I mean, I know what they're doing by trying to make the lower tier more compact, and hopefully that produces a bit more atmosphere. But I just think if you look at the game that we had this weekend against St Johnstone, there wasn't a huge crowd, but to me it seemed like there was more people there than what there was at Aberdeen, just for the fact that the whole stadium was getting a bit of noise about it.
I mean, Aberdeen brought an amazing crowd with them. I think they sold out that whole section. I think it's the biggest away support I've seen for years at Celtic Park.
That should have been the biggest and was the biggest domestic game of Celtic's season.
If you think about it, Celtic should be able to sell out a Scottish Cup tie against their kind of nearest rivals in Scotland just now at 15 quid a ticket, but there was no real interest in it. I mean, I don't know, even if you did have the money, would you have bought a ticket? I mean, I went, but it was just one of them, you go because it's a cup game against Aberdeen, but it was a struggle. It was a debate as to whether I would go.
I mean, I did want to go to the game, but then very quickly, once I seen the team and seen how the game panned out, watching it on the telly, I was pretty glad that I didn't. But I mean, just my thoughts overall, I think the majority of the blame has to be on Neil Lennon, because I just thought his team selection was just so poor. I mean, that midfield, Johansson and Brown, they were just gone. They had no chance at even competing in the middle of the park, and they looked so wide apart as well all the time. It was as if we didn't have a midfield.
I think basically what he's done, throwing Johansson into that, I thought Johansson had a great game against St Mirren, and I think he tried his heart out against Aberdeen, but he was up against, I think, 3 in the Aberdeen middle. Brown done nothing. Johansson was busting a gut, but I think he was kind of made a bit of a scapegoat for the defeat, whereas Aberdeen had Robson and Flood, who just dominated, like really experienced, kind of solid players, and Aberdeen were just so much more up for it than Celtic. It was really, really disappointing.
And then you've got the likes of Adam Matthews playing when the guy didn't look fit.
There was no way he was fitting Samaras. I don't know any Celtic fan or even any football fan who understands why he was in that team that day.
No, but I think possibly looking on it now, it has served a purpose in the fact that it's maybe given the players and Lennon a bit of a wake-up call, because there was so many people talking about whether they think he should stay or go, and I was siding on him leaving, to be honest, and I'm still yet to be convinced that he's got any more to do at Celtic. Well,
that's it. All through the game, the Aberdeen fans were saying, Lennon, get to fuck. And by the end of the game, I was joining in with them. So it was, I think he's got a lot to actually do to kind of mate, a lot of Celtic fans want him as manager next year. I'm now exactly the same as yourself. I don't know if he can justify another season, because he's hanging on to this unbeaten record, and it's at the detriment to the Celtic team, because he's playing the same players week in and week out. He's not giving guys a chance. Throwing Baldy on for 10 minutes against Aberdeen, or 15 minutes. A guy that gets an occasional run out and he's basically thrown on to try and get a cup game back. It's just nonsense, absolute nonsense.
And again, you touched on the Lennon chat, and there was a lot of it. What is a successful season for Celtic? Can we class this as a successful season? Winning the league, getting into the Champions League group stages? Does the invincible thing mean anything to any of you?
The invincible part means nothing. An unbeaten league season in this current climate means nothing. I would much rather see a Celtic team giving other players a chance, and if we lose, we lose, but you can at least see a team and players starting to develop. I'm not really hung up on this whole unbeaten thing at all.
No, I'm the exact same. It angers me to a point where there's so much focus put on it, and it seems to be the majority of the focus is put around one player and all, and being Fraser Foster. It's as if we're all trying to get him a record. It's like, I really don't care about him getting a record or Celtic getting a record. I want to see progression and this squad developing and an exciting team on the park, and grinding out results and getting knocked out of cup to the likes of Montrose, was it the first one? Morton, and then Aberdeen. I mean, Aberdeen are a good team and played well and deserve to win the game without a doubt. But we should be dominating Scotland right now. And
that's a game at Celtic Park as well. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about this on the way to the game this weekend, and I was thinking, if you think of Rangers and everything that happened to them and the fact that they're no longer there, I think Celtic and Rangers have failed big time over these last couple of years. Rangers had a great opportunity to invest in the youth and kind of restart afresh and do things properly and right, and Celtic had a very similar opportunity. Well, they should have brought in the youngsters and developed a team and dominated. There's no reason why Celtic should not be absolutely dominating every competition in Scotland, because as far as our resources, our support, the quality of our players, we're head and shoulders above everybody else. But it seems to be that that's not happened, and I think when Lennon does finally leave Celtic, it's something that he'll look back on and everybody else will look back on and go, yeah, okay, you beat Barcelona, but I think we should have had more out of the last couple of seasons. And this season, to go back to your point, Chris, whether is it a success or not, at the start of the season I would have said group stage of the Champions League and win the league. Then that's the two top targets, the two main goals. But when you see how poorly we've done in the cup competitions and the fact that we've not had a very exciting team on the park, I don't know if you can class it as successful, to be honest.
That's it. I think it might have been a bit different if we'd put up a showing in the Champions League, but we were basically destroyed in almost every game. Played okay in Milan away. I thought we were quite lucky to get a result at home against Ajax, and then from memory, every other game they were hopeless, absolutely hopeless, and got our biggest defeat in Europe away to Barcelona. Was it 6-1?
6-1, yeah.
You can't. I suppose you can't say it's not been successful because we've won a title, but that was pretty much a given at the beginning of the season. I mean, there's no even. We're 21 points clear just now with 13 games to go or something.
I think it would be a disaster if we didn't win the league. I don't think that.
I don't think it was ever I think any of us leading a Celtic team just now could have won the league regardless of who the opposition is, because you said like the resources. But I think you made an amazing point earlier about the missed opportunity in terms of youth. This was it. Celtic had no real competition, or even if they had played some youth players or young players to bring them through, the league would have maybe gone into March, April when it was still quite close, which I think we would all have loved, and the crowds would have been there to support it. Whereas just now, I think people are seriously just thinking, what's the point in going? I mean, there's guys around about me who have season tickets. Some aren't turning up, some are coming in maybe the second half because they've spent the first half in the pub because they just can't be bothered because there's no entertainment on the field.
Yeah, and I think there has to be a change from high up to entice fans back. There has to be a plan in place because Peter Law can't sit in his box and look around that stadium and see so many empty seats and think that's normal for Celtic, because it's absolutely not. But at the same time, it's funny because football fans, and especially Celtic fans, are very, very loyal, and we will put in the money and we want to be there. And I feel as if your kind of support is being exploited.
Yeah.
Because they know that if they put up the prices of the season tickets, to a lot of people, it's just something that we're just going to have to find extra money because we want to be there. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we shouldn't have to put up with it. There should be an attractive product there for us to go and spend our money on and watch. And I think there's coming a time now when Celtic have to do better on and off the park to get people back.
That's it. I mean, scraping results at home. I think it was the Thistle game on New Year's Day. I think we won 1-0. And it was one of the most awful games of football I've seen at Celtic Park in such a long time. But there's no creativity. There's a real lack of energy. It looks like there's a real lack of motivation. Lennon's doing nothing to change it. He's sitting, spend most of the time in the dugout. He's giving guys like Baldy and Pookie to an extent a couple of minutes here and there. It's just pointless. And there's players that it's as if they know they're guaranteed a place in the team. Scott Brown, Charlie Mulgrew, Anthony Stokes to an extent, where they just seem to have been going through the motions. And maybe, obviously, Griffiths coming in has maybe gave Stokes a bit of a kick up the arse. But other than that, even Scott Brown on Sunday, didn't think he looked interested for most of the game.
No, he did not, but
no, I completely agree. Scott Brown, who I'm a huge fan of, last couple of games has just not been there. Very disappointing. I do like his wee lob for the assist, but other than that, I don't think he contributed very much. Which moves us quite nicely on to Sunday.
Yeah,
that was quite a good link on it. Well done. You're good at this.
After all the kind of negativity after the Aberdeen game, we actually won a game, which was nice. I do want to be more positive on the podcast. I feel as if I've been very, very negative, but it's how a lot of people felt after that Aberdeen game, I think. But no, the weekend was a lot better. I was in two minds whether to go, and I reluctantly went along. And I was pleased to see the changes in the team. It finally played two strikers at the same time at home in Scottish football, which you would just think we should be doing every week.
Against the might of St Johnstone.
Exactly. And then the midfield, Biton. What a player. I thought there was a lot better shape, a lot better balance to the team. Biton was fantastic in the kind of defensive mid, and Johansson and Brown looked quite good in the kind of middle of the diamond. And then Commons in the hole was brilliant. He's so effective in there. And I would rather, I know there's been a bit of debate about whether he should be a number 10 or a number 9. He is a number 10. He's got to be. If you've got Stokes and Griffiths up front, he has to be in behind them.
Well, you've seen the difference where he's played Biton before. I think, was it Hearts when we won 7-0? Biton played, and then the next week, was it 5-0 against Motherwell, and Biton played, and then he's out the team again. I think every time Biton plays, you see the difference he makes to the players in front of him. Because we're pretty solid at the back, there's no concerns there. But it's that midfield. But I think Biton and Johansson are a great, sort of, not necessarily a partnership, but they work really well in that kind of diamond. Brown does a job, but it's just much more kind of fluid, and you can see the front three so much more movement and opportunities. And saying that though, I did think the first half was pretty poor on Sunday. And even, I think Stokes done okay, but I think his hat-trick maybe disguised just some flaws in his game again. Like, there was some stuff he was doing, it's just so disappointing. And
did you not think that in terms of the first half being kind of poor, I think a lot of it was to do with nerves. I thought, see, until that first goal went in, I thought we looked quite nervous and tentative.
But I think that's the crowd just now as well, because the crowd they're not getting anything to really get them lifted. I mean, you've seen the difference where the Green Brigade obviously come back on Sunday, and I think they get more of a kind of applause and atmosphere than the players on the pitch, which is really bad. You know, people are really excited to see the Green Brigade out, and not so excited about seeing the Celtic lineup. Yeah. So, but it's kind of poor. And
do you think Stokes' improvement in form? I know you said you don't think he was maybe hat-trick worthy yesterday, but yesterday. Sorry, forgetting what day it is.
Yeah.
Do you think it is the kick up the backside of I've actually got some competition in Griffiths, or do you think it is the changing system that really helped them?
I think hopefully it's the competition, because people were saying, I was listening to a couple of phone-ins over the past couple of days, and they're saying, you know, it's maybe going to be a Hooper-Stokes type partnership with Hooper and Griffiths. I don't think they necessarily linked up particularly well. They've done a lot of, they're very good kind of individuals, but there was a couple of wee interchanges, but nothing that I can really remember sticking out. And Stokes can still be a greedy bastard, like to the point where when he was as opposed to cutting it back, I don't know what he tried to do, maybe like chip the goalie from practically the byline and just kind of ballooned it over the bar. It was hopeless, but that was when he was only on a goal, and I think at that point people were wanting him off, and then obviously he bagged another couple.
I think one thing with Stokes and Griffiths, I had seen them very similar when Griffiths first came, and I thought it was competition for Stokes, but the two of them I actually thought complemented each other well at times, and I think they're your first choice now as a pair. I think Lennon, if hopefully he has copped on to the fact that he needs to have two strikers on, especially at home, but if he has, they're your first choice. So as a partnership, I think it will be interesting to see how that develops. And because, I mean, Stokes, the best football he's played at Celtic is when Gary Hooper was there with him.
Absolutely agree.
So it's going to be interesting to see if he can thrive on another partnership again, because he was obviously not going to get it with Balde or Pukki. But the energy and the work that Griffiths puts in, I think is going to help him out quite a lot. So hopefully that continues, that partnership.
Griffiths looks as if he'll be a player for Celtic. He works his socks off. He's obviously got a bit of skill, real determination as well. I mean, you can see it in Johansson and Griffiths, who've just come in the team and just run their heart out, whereas the other ones where they've kind of been going through the motions. So hopefully that will just stimulate the rest of them.
I think someone has to take Johansson aside and just tell him to calm down. He runs into people like every time you just see him charging at an opposition player, and he's going to get booked. He's going to foul somebody. But I thought he was good at the weekend. I like how he's fitted into the team. Mm-hmm. He seems to offer quite a lot. And I felt sorry for him at Aberdeen, because I felt at times he was running about like a blue-ass fly, trying to cover a lot of places, and it maybe made him look as if it maybe gave you a negative impression of his kind of influence and role in the team. But when there was a proper structure in there, like there was against St Johnstone, I think he thrived and you could see the best of him.
Yeah, definitely. I think although he had a few stray passes, I think you can see he's got a little range there as well.
But I think this is what his third game since, I don't know, November or something, so he's still to get, I suppose, match fit. But fitness. I think he's a real find. He's a crank player.
The one thing with this formation is what happens when Mulgrew and Forrest come back.
Do you know, that's the worry?
That's a big question.
Like, it would be stupid to drop Biton and any of them that the only one I would drop is Brown just now. Yep. Biton and Johansson stick-ons, but like you say, as soon as Mulgrew and Forrest are fit, I can see Lennon just putting them straight back into the team.
Well, the thing is, Aguirre had to go off in the first half. and I think it's a thigh injury, Lennon said. So, I mean, Charlie Mulgrew would be
left back,
I would presume. If he's going to be shoehorned into the team anywhere, it's going to have to be there now. But I mean, Daniel Fisher played in there, and I thought he looked really nervous at the start, but he came on. He did come on second half. But Lennon had said, and I heard him in the radio after the game, and he said that Fisher had been playing there for the development squad. He'd been playing at left back. So I don't know, maybe if they've been thinking we kind of need a provision in case anything does happen to Azagiri.
Yeah.
Because he is the only left back we have.
Well, I was going to say you've got Matthews, but as long as he's required at right back, that's...
Well, that's Lustig. Is Lustig back before the end of the season, or?
Yeah, I think he'll be back before the end of the season, but he's obviously been out for a while.
But you're right. I mean, I think if that's the case, then it gives Lennon an excuse to put Mulgrew back in the team. I mean, I like Charlie Mulgrew, but I don't like the fact that he's just an automatic pick. He'll drop players just to have Mulgrew in the team.
Right, guys, we've got a couple of tweets regarding Celtic. We're talking about Biton there. We've got Mark O'Brien at Sparko1979 saying Biton and Stefan look like they have it technically for the Champions League next season. Can they make the step up? What are our thoughts? Have we seen enough of them, first of all? And if we have, do we think they've got the quality to really do it in Europe's Premier competition?
I think it depends on the system that they're played in. I think Biton, I mean, we need to get it in perspective. We were playing against St Johnstone, who didn't even turn up. They were rubbish. But at the same time, he looked very comfortable in front of that back four. And I think in terms of having someone in there protecting the back four, I think he's your best option. And he just strolled the game. So I think, especially when you're playing the Champions League, I think you really need someone playing in that position, and 100%. I think he would be your man for it. But I think back to that red card he got at Celtic Park, and I just worry that sometimes he could let himself go. So if he can if he can avoid doing stupid things like that, then I think he could really come on and he would be a Champions League player. And Johansson, definitely, as long as he just stops running at people.
Well, that's it. I think in order to do that, I think Celtic missed a trick in January because that's when they should have bought for the Champions League. Now they're going to have to try and get early signings in, because I think their first qualifier's June, something stupidly early. But Lennon has to start thinking about that now, which means playing Biton and Johansson every single week. Obviously discounting injuries, but in order for them to be ready for the Champions League, they need to play week in, week out.
I'm trying to think, is there anybody missing in that midfield that we're not thinking about?
Ledley.
I'm slowly getting over that, but I feel as if there's somebody else. Get Kyle who's out, and then obviously Ledley's away.
Rodgers on loan, McGeouch's on loan.
Aye. So the options aren't. I'm just trying to think of if he was going to drop Biton, then is there anybody else other than Mulgrew that he would bring in? It's just really Mulgrew, isn't it?
Well, it depends what he's got, because you've kind of got Mulgrew, Forrest and Samaras. Because Borichter he's not really given a game to, but those three, regardless of the Samaras situation, if he brought any of them in, it means he would have to change the formation, which would maybe mean Biton dropping out.
I think one thing as well with the formation being like the diamond in midfield, it offers no width other than the fullbacks, and Charlie Mulgrew isn't really a fullback, like an attacking fullback, you know what I mean? Yep. So it would then put us, if he was in there instead of Azagiri, it would put a big focus on Matthews on the right hand side, and would be a bit weighted over there. So I don't know if maybe I could see him changing things to have a bit more width with the likes of Forrest, but I just don't think that Forrest should be anywhere near the team.
But that's another thing, going back to the Aberdeen game, but afterwards, when Lennon gave pass marks to Stokes and Forrest, which I thought was completely ridiculous.
I think he's doing bets or something with him.
But it's as if, Forrest, I think he's now at the stage where Forrest gets a lot of criticism and a lot of it justified. But I think it's like, because Lennon seems to have earmarked him as a teacher's pet sort of thing, it's putting even more pressure on the boy, like where he's now getting abuse, possibly when it's not merited, because Lennon seems to keep having him on this pedestal and never ever criticises him. It's insane. But when he said that after the game, that was another point. I'm thinking, right, is he just completely lost the plot here? Is he watching a different game for the rest of us?
That's the thing as well. He doesn't even need to come out and slag the boy off. Just don't talk nonsense.
Just don't mention him. Just don't mention him. If
diplomatic silence.
Yeah. But yeah, no. To go back to the question, I think the two of them, I think they will and kind of have to have a big say in the Champions League because there's no one else.
Yeah.
And I think from what we've seen of them, that they could have that. Also on Celtic, we've got Brian Flanagan at NFLBTC. Is asking about season book renewals. Celtic board would be crazy to reintroduce the £100 price hike for next season. Thoughts? I don't think there's much of a debate on that.
Completely agree. I think they're struggling just now, and the likelihood is I will renew next year, but there is points this season I'm thinking, is it worth it? Paying that amount of money out where there's games now I'm kind of dragging myself to, as opposed to where it used to be like you get up early and you're excited about going to see Celtic, but now it's kind of not like that. But if they put extra money on it, I think a lot of people will just ditch it and pay game by game.
Yeah, I'm the exact same as you. I'm questioning whether I'm going to renew or not. I want to renew, but similar to Bryan, I'm sitting there thinking there's better things I could be doing on a Saturday or Sunday than sitting watching pretty boring and predictable football. So I think there has to be a lot of things on and off the park to entice fans back, and we just have to wait and see what's offered.
I think if it's true, if they are going to introduce a standing section next year, I think that will generate a lot of interest as well. Yeah. How they would allocate the tickets for that, I don't know if the people that are in whatever sections are going to change are the kind of first picks on it. I don't know. I mean, I'd quite like to go into a standing section. But I would assume that a lot of other people would as well, so I think that would be a really high demand for that, which might generate some interest in the fans. Maybe that's where the Green Brigade are going to be, or the Green Brigade Light, whatever that was on Sunday.
And what did we think of the return of the Green Brigade lads?
You've got us in the hop there. It was good. They done it well. I was sitting, I think, just looking on my phone or something at the game because Celtic's fantastic Wi-Fi is working now, and that's kind of round of applause broke out. Didn't know why, and then had to turn around and saw the banner getting unfurled, and they were fairly going for it right for the off, and it was all, there wasn't any songs that would maybe cause any issues. Yeah, it was all really good, positive Celtic songs, and they were brilliant. Yeah,
no, it was good to have them back. I thought there was a big difference in atmosphere, and you could, I mean, people, and I know Gal's one of them who's very critical of them, and I think we've all been critical of them at points, but I think it is a better atmosphere when they're there. It just is. Yeah. I mean, we've had games when they've not been there, and some of the fans have tried. There's been wee pockets and wee sections that have tried to get the place going, and at times have for a couple of minutes. But you really do need someone kind of leading the song and stuff. I think
the fact it's just constant as well. Yeah. Whereas, like you say, there is times where they're not there and songs break out, and it's good, but it's quite sporadic. Whereas with the Green Brigade, it's just constant all the way through.
There's absolutely, maybe I'm being very 90-minute cynical, but there is no chance that they just bought a ticket and walked into that stadium altogether.
Do you know, we said it kind of earlier on as well, where it seems just too convenient that there's a load of kind of negativity just now. There's a really kind of flat atmosphere, and then it just so happens like 300 of the Green Brigade have to all buy tickets.
Big Peter's got a plan.
Aye, and Lennon coming out and saying he'd get wind of it, and it just seems a wee bit too convenient. And the fact that they did, there wasn't any kind of roll of honour or anything like that. Maybe they're just saving it for the chart show and later on that Sunday night.
It'll be. I think Law will get his vision of a singing section. He said he wanted a singing section with no political stuff, and I think he'll get it. I think as soon as that, I think he's going to try and bargain with them with the standing section and say, right, we've got a standing section, we'll put you in it, but under the stipulation that there's no more of this, and I think they'll take it. I think
that would be the Green Brigade in a standing section at Celtic Park singing Celtic songs would be amazing. It would bring so much more atmosphere, more colour, and they've all debated it whether it's, you should have political songs at Celtic Park. Yeah, you should be allowed to sing them, but whether we want them at a football stadium, then I don't think we should. So, but I think you're right. Lawwell, he knows what he's doing, and I think he does have an end game. And the club came out and said they weren't banned; they were obviously just disbanded.
Yeah, no, I don't think they ever said that they were banned. It was just that they were taking the section away from them and redistributing them throughout the stadium.
I think he's done it well. And you're right, if he says to them, like, keep that up, there's your standing section, go and kind of make the most of it.
I think he has to. Because the atmospheres went backwards, the team have went backwards, and the attendances have went backwards. He has to change it, and I think it's the first kind of step. But
maybe Peter Lawwell's the leader of the Green Brigade.
Maybe he is. Maybe Peter Lawwell, I can't see him from where I sit. I think he could be in there with his top off. I want eyes on
them
Pete.
pulling the strings. Aye. So that's Celtic. Unless we've got anything else to add to Glasgow Celtic FC.
Nah. Big game on Saturday, Hearts.
Aye. I know we mentioned the Invincible thing and the records aren't that important, but it's Foster's chance to...
32 minutes he's got to go.
Yeah.
And he breaks it. So.
But see, that's the thing as well. Like, it's one of these ones where we've apparently had an unbeaten season, but we get pumped in the Champions League and we're out of 2 cups. So it's just all this convenience that it's only unbeaten in the league, and now this is only a league record now. Like, was it before the Aberdeen game? It was like a all competition type record, and then obviously lost 2 goals, and it's still going somehow. It's all about.
Was it no big Effie that nearly put the goal into him as well to break it?
That's all he had to do, but that was a save he had.
What a save it was in like the 91st minute or something.
But it would have been typical if it had been big Effie.
Aye, it will be. Some will be.
And that just reminds me, because again we missed last week I can't even remember his name. Daft old English keeper came out and said
Peter Shelton.
Shelton
has to move down south. Which, and again, let me know your thoughts, but I just thought it's daft. It clearly doesn't watch Celtic, because fair enough, it's not the standard of England, but Foster makes world-class saves week in, week out.
Yep.
Like that one against Effie. What do you guys think? Was that an accurate appraisal from Shelton, or is he talking?
It's just typical English arrogance, I think, that they need... I think they don't want a player in their squad that's playing in the pishy Scottish League. That's all it is. Whereas Foster, he's much better than Ruddy and Ben Foster, and I think he's on a par with Joe Hart. And I think he's probably been a bit kind of just Celtic minded, but I think he's better than Joe Hart, because, like you say, I mean, the guy could be standing for 80, 85 minutes with nothing to do, and then just pulls off this incredible save. So his concentration levels have to be right up there. So.
I think when I can kind of see what he's saying. He should be playing in the kind of the best league.
So he shouldn't be playing in England then.
No. So I can understand it from that point of view. But as you say about the likes of John Ruddy, I mean, do you want a guy like John Ruddy's at Norwich, isn't he? Still,
yeah.
I mean, he's at Norwich, or would you rather be at Celtic? In terms of, and I know obviously Hooper's just went the other way, but it's different for a goalkeeper. And I think in terms of being a goalkeeper, I think I'd rather have him at Celtic than playing at a kind of a club that could be getting relegated in
Norwich
in
are
EPL.
Scalped every week, and it's is it not though that the England goalkeeping coach is the goalkeeping coach at Norwich as well? I think there's some kind of connection there. Plus Roy Hodgson, obviously, I think he had Foster at West Brom, and so I think he's got a lot to contend with in order to get in that squad. But on merit, he should be there. Finish ever did.
Good luck to him.
And welcome back to the 90 Cynic podcast, where we're going to talk about a little bit about England, you monster. England. So, what's going on there?
It's all a bit nuts, isn't it? Just stuff's happening.
Arsenal and Liverpool. Tale of two ties.
Yes.
Well, the first game, what was it? It finished
5-1.
5-1.
Going on about 10.
Well, four goals up.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. That's phenomenal. But I don't know if... It's hard to say whether it was Liverpool being brilliant or Arsenal being bad. I suppose it would be a kind of mixture of both. But they absolutely tore them apart.
I think Liverpool were just right up for it from the start, and I just destroyed them. And God, there's no coming back for that 20 minutes.
No.
And then, I don't know. Arsenal, I really want to see Arsenal doing well just now, probably because of the kind of garbage that Wenger's having to deal with. But I think there's just something missing for the team. A forward, I think.
Yeah. Striker.
Well, there's talk about Van Persie getting back. Apparently there's been discussions between Man U and Arsenal.
Really?
About that. It was... I can't remember who it was. It was a well-known journalist that broke the story at the weekend. I can't remember now.
I can't remember.
But Hugh Keevins.
Hugh Keevins.
He doesn't rate Van Persie.
But yeah, apparently there was kind of discussions about it, and I think Man U were apparently willing for the deal to happen. So we'll see what happens there. But
it's because Moyes is a fanny.
Yeah.
Very possibly. If he wants that to happen, yes, he is.
She's get Danny Welbeck.
Oh, this is
but no, I think the Liverpool. I think Liverpool are just developing into a really great team. I think Brendan Rodgers is a fantastic manager, and you can just see how much he's developed that team and progressed that club in recent years.
It's the style of play. It's so energetic and dynamic, and what he's done with Gerrard, just kind of sitting there, and it's just been brilliant as well.
And he's bringing in youngsters as well. He's developing young players, which is what we want to see at Celtic, but he's doing it with Raheem Sterling and the boy, is it Flanagan?
Flanagan, yeah.
He's kind of doing everything and doing it at the same time, but he's been very kind of cautious in the way he's been talking about their chances and that, which is understandable, I guess.
Yeah, smart. And those two teams, Arsenal and Liverpool, Arsenal this season, but thinking about next season, do we think Liverpool are genuine title contenders? I think this season they might be. They're only, 6 points off the pace, and I think they've still got the two biggies at home. It's just they need that. I think their home form's just incredible this season. Away they've kind of slipped up a wee bit, but then they played Fulham last week, and they were 2-1 down.
It was the last
10 minutes to go or something. They pulled it back, and that's the kind of stereotypical mark of champions. I would really love to see it going right down to the wire between probably the four teams. I think Everton are no chance. Man U, they won't even get Champions League.
I think Liverpool need the Champions League to keep Suarez though, and that's all important to how they're going to do next season.
Spurs are picking up a wee bit, but I think it's really between Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal and Liverpool, and I think just now they're all in with a chance of the title. I would probably, the one I would see falling out is Arsenal, just because they rely too much on Giroud, I think, and they played a boy yesterday that reminded me of Baldy. Kind of big, gangly centre forward. I think
didn't get much time in the game.
So he's just looked really raw and rough and couldn't control a ball. But I think they were saying he's really young. Wenger's picked him up from the French second division or something. And apparently,
Sinogo, is it?
Might be. I can't remember the boy's name.
I think it's Sinogo, the young boy, and he's just a teenager.
Aye,
but apparently he did put in a shift.
He looked really strong, and it's one of these ones again. Trusting Wenger's judgment in young players, they'll probably sell him for about 50 million or something like that.
Yeah,
but we might get the same for Baldy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I think when you look at Arsenal and Chelsea, and how Mourinho keeps saying that they're really looking at next season to try and challenge and all that, I think you've got to be scared if you're a Man U fan, because all the other teams are already so far ahead, and they're all looking to and have obvious areas to improve, and they're all looking to improve next season. They really have to have a lot of catching up to do to be able to get back up there next season.
All throughout the pitch, Man U need to invest and do it heavily.
Yeah.
Like you say, everywhere they're a disaster, and I've been saying it right since the start of the season, so get it up all these when you're slagging me. But Ferguson left Moyes with just an absolute pile of shite. I mean, if you look at that team all the way through it, discounting Rooney and Van Persie, is there any other player in there that you would really be an automatic first choice pick for any of the other contenders in the Premiership? Carrick, maybe?
Yeah, maybe Carrick, but no, it's tough. I mean, Mata's there now, but he's not had a huge impact. But then again, I think there has to be change, and there's got to be a lot more change, and I think it just kind of shows. I think when Arsenal got Ozil, he was like a big piece of the jigsaw that brought everything else together, and he really did take them forward. And I still think Mata will have a bigger impact at Man U overall over his time there, but I think right away it's just kind of showing that they need a lot more than just him.
If you look at it, because you've got Mata, Rooney, Van Persie, which is just incredible, but what's behind them is just awful. You could never. I think De Gea is a decent goalkeeper, but they're defensively they're hopeless, and they're really poor to watch. I always used to like watching Man U because they were always kind of entertaining, but they're rotten.
Yeah, and they're being forced into the moves in defence, I think, as well, with Vidic going.
Vidic is off,
which could be a good move for them, but we'll see how that pans out. And just we touched very briefly there on Arsenal. They do rely on Giroud way too much. If they go out in the summer and spend 30-40 million on a striker, what happens to Arsenal?
Arsenal are almost there, and you can see Wenger's developed another team, loads of good young players, and if he went out and got a real top striker, then I think they would be Premiership contenders and possibly even Champions League contenders as well.
I think they need more than that. I think they need at least 2 top class strikers. I don't think it's good enough to just have, if you're going to buy one, to then have Giroud, because Giroud's good, but he's very slow, and he's not a typical Arsenal player in that regard, because usually they like a lot of pace in their team. So I think they need to get a couple of strikers in to really bulk up
but
there.
You think they've got, Walcott will be back, Oxlade-Chamberlain's just coming back, and I think he's got a really good squad there.
Oh, he definitely does have a good squad, and I think part of me kind of thinks that they're doing well where they are right now, and I think because everybody kind of feels as if they're either going to fall away or there's still question marks over them, it's kind of clouding the fact that they're still up there and they're still challenging right now. So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see if they can make it last through the whole campaign and if they can seriously challenge. But I just can see, honestly, I can see Man City and Chelsea just going the rest of the season and dominating.
I would love Arsenal to win a trophy this year, just to get rid of this whole 8-9 years without a trophy label on Wenger.
I hope it continues. I hate them.
Well, my big bold prediction is they will spend huge in the summer and lay down a marker, just like they did with Ozil. Come out with a couple of big blue chip signings. Talking about Wenger, we mentioned Chelsea, Mourinho, little bit of
a lover's tiff.
Yes, to say the least. What was it? He's a expert in
failure.
Expert in failure.
Or was to that effect.
And the retort was, "I'm embarrassed for you."
Yeah.
And rightly so. I mean, Mourinho's come out with some crackers and he's great for the journalists down there, but I don't know why he said that. I think he was kind of drawn into it. I think, from what I heard, one of the journalists had said Wenger said something about Mourinho, which he hadn't, and Mourinho's reacted to it by saying that. And it was, I mean, I don't think Mourinho's got a huge amount of class anyway, but that, wasn't great.
It wasn't great, considering he then got papped at the cup and Arsenal went through. If you're going to do that, you really need to back it up with some wins in the cup competitions, I think.
I think we'll see who ends up winning the Premiership. Will have the last laugh.
I did see the stats. Sky News had the stats up of the two of them and compared the two of them in terms of successes in their careers. And Mourinho did heavily outweigh
slight domination.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely. But I think you could compare Mourinho to pretty much any manager just now, and he would more or less be the same.
This is it. But you're absolutely right. It's a lack of class. But you know what? See if it does the job. See if it unsettles an Arsenal who they're there. Are they going to stay there? I think it's his job to...
He'll lose no sleep over it. He achieved what he wanted, regardless of whether he went out the cup or not. He's got in the minds of people and got the headlines, so that's enough for him.
Yep. Fulham, new manager. Big shock.
Again. I was shocked that they'd... What was it, 17 games or something Millenstein got? And that's 3 managers in a season. And so that was a shock. But in saying that, when you think about it, the way the Premiership works and the merry-go-round, I mean, Laudrup getting sacked, I think, was just ridiculous as well.
Oh, I know. I thought that was spot on. I thought that guy... I just think that he wanted to leave in the summer, couldn't make it happen, and he kind of lost it. I don't think he could really... I don't know if it was a motivation thing, but I just... Seeing Swansea, I feel as if they went backwards.
Well, Michu's been out for ages, but I mean, Bonnie's he's banged in about 16, 17 goals or something. I think there've been a few injuries and stuff, but they were mid-table, still in the Europa League. He'd won them their first trophy last season, and I thought it was mental. I think
you're a lone voice, Louis.
That's fine. I like to be a different opinion, but no, I think the Fulham one is just shows how desperate these clubs are and these chairmen are to stay in that league.
But I don't know how I feel about with Millenstein. I think it was a bit sneaky the way he done it. They brought him in as, was it Yoel's kind of like assistant or whatever, and then he gets a bullet, he takes over. Now, but saying it, I still don't know if he's been sacked because I'm hearing so many stories. I know Wilkins and Kirbishley are away now.
Yeah.
But Millenstein's still employed, or I don't know, it's mental. Much like what will be now with Felix Magath on board. He's just insane.
He's insane, but he's had some success, which...
He's a crank manager. It's just his methods are a wee bit mental.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a good character to have in the league anyway, from a kind of neutral point of view.
Oh, definitely, and I think just another manager can count himself as a top class manager playing his trade there. And whilst he's certainly fought more than one relegation battle earlier on in his career, more recently he's maybe been used to being a little bit further up the leagues, although Wolfsburg were struggling when he was last there.
Well, I heard, you're more a Bundesliga expert than me, but his nickname's the Firefighter or something, because they bring him in when things aren't going too well, and he's kind of managed to douse some flames in a while. Aye.
Another EPL manager that could be going out the window is Chris Hughton. You see that one of the guys at Norwich, I think must be higher up in Norwich, has been talking about possible replacements for him, and I think the two names that, I don't know if he actually said the two names or the two names that were strongly suggested were Malky Mackay and Neil Lennon.
I think Lennon would be in with a shout with that. And I heard as well, I think it was on Sky at the weekend, that Pardew's got kind of one game to save his job. I think they're playing Aston Villa at home, and if they lose that...
I long for that day.
I know.
Can't wait for him to get
God knows what sort of payoff they're going to have, because he's got still, 6 years his contract left or something. But, he's just a guy that annoys me completely. I'd love to see him go. But then Newcastle, who would go to Newcastle? Because they're just a comedy of errors, that club, isn't they?
Well, with Mike Ashley there, he's a big negative, isn't he, for anybody going there?
I mean, even Joe Kinnear had enough of it, and that's saying something.
And it occurred not in Los Angeles, New York, nor in London, but in the north of England on the banks of the River Mersey at Liverpool. It spread to a very localized craze, and finally encompassed the whole international music scene. Beatlemania had arrived, and the Mersey boom was on.
Moving from Newcastle to their northern neighbours, Manchester. Pellegrini came out and said that Man City were now the dominant force in Manchester. What are our thoughts there, gentlemen?
I agree completely.
I agree completely too.
What do you think, Mr. Boud?
I think you're both completely wrong. To be fair to Pellegrini, it was a lot more reasonable than just saying that they now dominated Man U. Saying that if you only consider this season, there's one club in Manchester and it's ours, but you can't forget what United have done. And I completely agree with him in that. Yes, Obviously, they're completely bossing United this season, who are woeful. But any Man City fan that feels they can say they're now the dominant force are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. We'll see a few seasons down the line if they can say that.
I think they will say that for the next 5-10 years. I think Man U are on a downward slope. I can't see them, unless they go out and spend massively, and I mean like 100, 150 millions.
Yeah,
then,
and if there's a club in England that can do that, they're certainly one of them. Obviously, Man City have got big spending power, but Man U have actually got earning power there. And look at Liverpool 2 seasons ago. What do you think they would be where they are now? Then, and I think that's from a weaker position.
But the thing is with Man U, did their accounts not come out recently, and there was people kind of analysing the debt and all that? I mean, I think things have got better financially in terms of the debt and all that, but if they're going to splash out, I don't think they could splash out 100 million in a window. I don't think they could do it, or else they would have to have new investment or look to kind of rejig things or something. But I don't know. I don't think that money would be easy to come by. Well, and then the other thing is this financial fair play. I don't know how much that's kicked in already, but as far as I know, they have to. It's getting quite tight.
Well, that's why, I mean, Man City were cute with that, with their a stadium sponsorship thing, where it's just a total get out. And but obviously FIFA or UEFA have left some loopholes, and teams are going to just take every opportunity they can to cheat effectively. But I like to say, I think Man U are on the verge of, they're not just due to sign a new deal with Nike, but then they're just giving Wayne Rooney $300,000 a week.
Oh, that is pissing in the wind, isn't it?
It's just insane.
Oh, you're both insane. Man United need to keep hold of Wayne Rooney.
Completely.
I agree. £300,000 a week, then that's what it costs.
But for a guy who wants to leave every summer just so he can get more money and a better deal, I would have him bapped.
I don't know. I think Shrek realises he's not going to get much more than $300,000 a week. I'm
thinking about that. Who would buy Wayne Rooney now?
Are you mad? Who wouldn't buy Wayne Rooney?
What top
that could afford them?
What top club would pay him that kind of money?
PSG in Monaco.
I think that's. I couldn't see
possibly. Right.
I couldn't see Rooney in a Madrid or Barcelona jersey.
No, I don't think he would get near.
He wouldn't go to the Bundesliga, and I think it would. I think it would be France, because they are just stupid enough to give him that money.
I agree. I think they are the only ones that would possibly do it. But I think the times that his chance to go to the likes of Barcelona or Real Madrid, I think they're gone now.
Probably, actually,
because he's gonna be made captain at Man U. Because Vidic is leaving, and I think that's their kind of look. Please stay.
Yeah, and also he's certainly, if he did go to a club at any stature, he's not going to be the number one man. Whereas at Man U,
but paying any player, especially Wayne Rooney, £300,000 a week is just too much. It's too far. It's ridiculous now, and it's scary to think that it keeps going up and up. God knows what we could end up getting to, but I think for Wayne Rooney and where he is in his career, I think it's just too much money, and it's a risk. I think it's a genuine risk to Man U. I mean, they could spend that money so much more wisely, and they would get benefits from it from years and years and years to come.
I think that's what the issue with, as much as I think Juan Mata is a terrific player, I think they could have spent that money in different areas and improved the team, as opposed to just getting that marquee signing that I don't think it will give them the impetus they need to get. I mean, are they in the Europa League space?
Well, they're currently in 7th, so just outside of those spots.
It might actually benefit Man U and Davy Moyes if they don't get into Europe this season, to be honest, because at least then they might have the chance to concentrate on the league.
Funny you should say that.
I think the game's a bogey here, Jeremy.
I don't even know what's so funny about that. So it'll be better all round of Man U stay shite and don't qualify.
As done by Liverpool.
It would be a far bottom moment.
Oh, it would be. Oh. So, 90-minute Cynic, return to normal service. England, aye. So that's England done, isn't it?
Aye,
We missed
think so.
anything out?
No, I think that's us.
Good. Europe, Champions League coming up. Few tasty wee ties coming up, late gentlemen. Anything in particular that jumps out at you?
Man City, Barcelona.
Surprise, yep.
Arsenal, Bayern Munich. I think Chelsea Galatasaray might be quite good as well.
Yeah, I think the big ones, Man City and Barca, and just to see how they cope and how they fare. Man City. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I don't think Pellegrini ever beat Barcelona while he was at Real Madrid, did he? I think he lost.
Don't know. Well, he was saying that yesterday when he was talking about Mourinho and how I think he'd never beat Mourinho. But then he basically said and came out, it was never me against Mourinho. It was like Malaga against Real Madrid and stuff. So you can't really judge it.
Yeah.
And then obviously beat him 2-0 in the cup. But I think a stat the other day. I think both teams have played 40 games this season. Barcelona have scored like 111 goals and Man City have scored 117 goals or some. This could be about 10 each. It's just they're just so attack minded, and Barcelona obviously Messi's coming back, Neymar's coming back, Aguero's out unfortunately, but I think it just could be one of the best Champions League games ever.
I think it'll be a big test for both teams. I think it'll be a big test for Barcelona to see if they are really back after last season and kind of how they fare against a team of Man City's kind of their continual progress and strengthening and where they are right now. It'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think. Sorry.
No, on you go.
I was just watching Barcelona at the weekend against Vallecano they were playing against, and some of the goals were just fun. It was like the old
Messi's
under Guardiola. The quick movement, quick feet, and just 4 touches and it's a goal. It's just incredible.
He's all right, Messi. We're recording on the Monday night. We should have this up on the Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday at 7:45. Of course, Man City are playing Barcelona, so I'm going to peg you down to a prediction, gentlemen. 10 each from Bryan.
I'll reduce that to 2 each.
2 each.
2 each. I don't know. I think it'll be quite tight, I would imagine. I don't think there will be many goals, to be honest. I think it'll maybe be 1-0 Barca, I would say.
And do you think at 2 each, do you think Man City can qualify, or do Man City need to win at home to get through this?
I think for them to get through, I think they can't concede at home. But no, I think Barcelona over the 2 legs. I would actually like to see Man City progress because I really like what Pellegrini's doing there. But I think Barcelona will just maybe be too strong this season.
Yep. Other games we've got Bayer Leverkusen via PSG. I'm going to say we're all going for PSG in that one. Is that being presumptive?
Leverkusen,
I don't know.
Right, actually.
I think
it could be a draw.
Leverkusen at home as well. I don't think it will be an easy night for PSG, to be honest. I would probably fancy PSG over the 2 legs, but again,
we draw.
Aye, possibly. It just depends on
Ibra.
Yeah, I mean, and who's that good for a draw? I mean, would Bayer Leverkusen maybe take a draw, especially a goalless draw, and then go away there and try and sneak an away goal? You just don't know. I think a goalless draw would probably be quite good for Leverkusen, especially going to PSG.
I think they'd take that, certainly. We've then got Wednesday, we've got Arsenal, Bayern, Milan, Atletico Madrid. Start off with the English, Arsenal versus Bayern Munich. How do you think that will go?
I think Bayern will win that. I think it should be a really open and exciting game, but I think Munich will just be too strong for them, and maybe 3-1. Munich.
Yeah, I think I hope that it will be a good game. But I think Bayern Munich will be too strong. I think they'll dominate them. I'm going to go 4-1.
Oofed. I think I probably agree. To be fair though, it's one of those Arsenal can just pull performances out their backside sometimes. However, I think that will be the tie of the stage. And then Milan Atletico, I, as a Milan fan, fear for that game, even though it's at the San Siro. Milan are god awful right now.
They're really poor. I think they're in transition, obviously, but they are really poor. And Atletico Madrid are my kind of dark horses for the tournament. I think they've been outstanding this season, but I think they'll maybe win 2-0 there. I
actually think different. I think Milan. I think this might be a welcome break for Milan in terms of playing the Champions League and not the league, and just playing someone different and getting away from kind of Italian football for a bit. I think the players will thrive on the fact that they're in the Champions League. Balotelli, Kaká, the likes of these players are bound to raise their game. I think Balotelli's screamer at the weekend, that was something else. That.
Aye. Balotelli and Kaká are two fantastic players. The two fantastic players that Milan have, and everyone else is a bit shite.
Yeah.
I like Honda, but he's decent. He's not a star. He's not Milan class, or at least what used to be Milan class anyway.
Yeah.
We'll leave the other ties to next week, because that's next Tuesday and Wednesday, and we will be back then with another episode of the 90 Minute Cynic podcast. We've got plenty going on the website. You can check us out at www.90minutecynic.com. Previews going up. We've got covering all the leagues of Europe, or most of them, not the Bundesliga, as someone pointed out recently, but we're going to try to get that sorted. We've got lower division Scottish football, which is obviously fantastic.
Betting tips included, yeah.
Yep.
Free bets all over the place.
Way to make money. As well as some interesting features as well, so keep an eye on that.
Junior football, we've got junior football.
We do have junior football. We've got it all.
We're covering all
what
the bases.
What do we not have, Brian?
Nothing, apart from the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
But nobody likes the Bundesliga anyway, so
Aye.
rather watch Atherley.
Yes, we would. No, well, they're not that. They're standing room. They aren't owned by all these big companies. It's
That's
the same
it.
thing as German football, is it? No,
Yeah,
Premier
much.
football.
Atherley Ultras are they're up there among the top in Europe.
Great match day experience.
That is. It's the whole package.
Anyway, you can follow us at not at the 90 Minute Cynic, at 90 Minute Cynic. You can like us on Facebook/90 Minute Cynic. We've got a wee YouTube channel as well. Tonight I've been joined by Louis McCaffrey.
Thanks for having me, Christopher Boud.
More than welcome. Do you remember your Twitter handle?
It is LJFMC.
There you go.
Those are my initials.
Thanks for...
Just to clarify.
That's good. Well, and why didn't you remember it previously? If they're your initials?
He used to have a 14 in it or something, and he changed it all. And
No, it's just remembering the order of my names, because I have so many. I struggle with it at times, to be honest, because it's 4 names. I'm getting there. I'm almost 24, so I'm hoping that next year will be the year I remember my own name.
Fantastic.
good luck with that.
Brian McManus, thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure.
At Brian McManus.
Yep,
keeping it original. I'm at the Chris Boud. Chris Boud, thank you for listening, and we'll see you down the road.